do, so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
Hello guys, Solohood here. Today I'm gonna show you a new setup about Witch ascended as Lich. First of all, we're gonna discuss about the general overview and the build mechanic we're gonna use to map in general. So the build is set up around the loading courses on the ground, both for clean pack of a mob and single target damage. So the way we load damage is thanks to the Doedre doing new support gem, and in particular its Doedre Dark Design effect. Explosion deal best chaos damage equal to 200% of our intelligence. So the way we work, or better, the way we load damage is simply we scale intelligence as high as we can. So we directly boost our Doedre undoing damage. Now, this is in general the build mechanics, and now we can deep dive into how to load a high amount of damage. I think the best thing we can do is to start discussing about gems. First of all, we got Splellslinger, which we get from the wand, which is absolutely not necessary. Also, actually, this was used for previous tests I was performing in order to get advantage of the power charges from Profane Ritual, but I'm still not able to use those charges. So Splellslinger absolutely not necessary, and that also helped with the setting the build up, because of the fact that we don't need a Splellslinger based wand. We can get whatever kind of wand we like. Purity of Fire coming from our Sceptre, linked to Vitality, Mysticism, Cannibalism and Clarity. Now, probably if you would start building that kind of aura all at the same time, you will start encounter some bug, or you won't be able to run all those support buff at the same time. We remove just to let you understand, if you try to socket again our one of our buff, of course we won't be able, because we don't have enough spirit. So how can you allow Purity of Fire to get that gem socketed in? We simply turn off one of the other auras we run in our build, and we socket again the spell, the buff in Purity of Fire. Now, I thought it was a bug originally, but as you can see here, right now we have no life regeneration. Then if you put Vitality into Purity of Fire, we have life regeneration. Then I thought it could be a visual bug, but, and this is the Vitality allocated here, is our main and only source of life regeneration. If we just spend a little bit of life, you can see how we are actually regenerating life. So that means this buff, even if it's not reserving more spirit, is actually working. Then we can socket again our support gem for Purity of Fire and turn on again our the other auras. I don't know how, but I think that's a bug, but it's working. Now, even if this should be fixed, and I think it will, all those auras are not necessary. We can easily run the are not mandatory to make the build work. so not a big deal. Then we have our Sigil of Power for from our secondary set, our staff located in the secondary set. Link to Magnify Area, Rapid Casting, Duration and Cooldown Recovery. Okay, then we have our Skeletal Reaver minions. Now, the only purpose of this minion is during maps they can just walk around and blind enemies. Since we rely a lot on evasion, blind is very good because lower accuracy rating of enemies actually enhance our evasion rating indirectly. I mean, you get the point. And also, this Skeletal Reaver here, it's deeply linked with our Soul Offering skill, which basically is a skill that allows us to sacrifice those minions and get a huge spell damage buff from the offering itself. Linked to Brutus Brain, so the offering cannot be damaged, prolonged duration, dense macabre, so we can target 2 of them, and sacrificial offering to enhance the buff effect of Soul Offering. A little specifically a little addition just for Kulemak Dominion, how this very cool Sceptre gem work. I think the best thing is just show you. So we get a bone offering here, and as you can see, the spines just echoes one more time the spell we are going to cast. Very cool interaction. Then we have our Blasphemy setup, linked to Temporal Chain Enfeeble, Magnified Arrows, Low Potency, Ritualistic Church, any things that enhance our Enfeeble and Temporal Chain effect. This is basically one of our main defensive layer, because Temporal Chain lower to an insane amount the movement speed of enemies, and Enfeeble lower a lot their damage. Let me see if I have something. Okay, this is just a basic tier 15, but you can start getting the idea of like how powerful the effect from this kind of courses are. Okay, this is good, because we can just easily walking around the map thanks to this kind of courses without have any kind of problem, right? Like the mob here basically can't move. I know the map is not too juicy, but you can get the idea of the power of how powerful the course magnitude of Temporal Chain and Enfeeble are. That plus all of our evasion basically allow us to move without any trouble in any kind of tier 15 map. Okay, this was just to show you how beautiful this aura courses around us can be. Okay, then we have our main source of damage, Despair. Now, I think the best course to be our main source of damage should be Despair, and I'm saying that because theoretically you can socket whatever kind of course to be casted here, linked to the Doedre'S undoing. Despair should be the correct one, because the courses you are gonna socket into Blasphemy, they are gonna get less magnitude, so the best thing to enhance damage is to manually cast Despair. Link to Spell Cascade, and we are gonna deep dive into why this is the most important support, even if it does not directly scale our damage. Control Destruction, S-Radiant, so we can inflict shock easily with chaos damage, and Zenith, because most of the time we are gonna stay above 90% of our mana, so 30% more spell damage, and then the support gem will actually allow us the entire setup, Doedre'S undoing. So basically every time an enemy enter or we actually curse the area below him, it just take 200% of our intelligence as chaos damage. Now, I think this is the good moment to talk about how Spell Cascade can be the best socket support gem for our Despair. Since Doedre is doing the load its damage every time a cursed ground is placed under an enemy, the way Spell Cascade indirectly scale our damage is that since these two other cursed ground are cascade around the main one, they actually load an insane amount of basically a double or triple amount of damage depending on the moment and the place the mob is gonna sit under the curse itself. This is mainly useful for single target. During map we actually didn't even care. And then I have to make a little point here because I'm not 100% sure that the damage will triple, but I think it will. As you can see here, in this specific spot, we actually load at the same time 3 different cursed ground. Like depending on the cast speed, this is gonna be even higher. But in this specific point, thanks to the area of effect of our curses, they are gonna overlap between each other and load an insane amount of damage. So, in reference to the theory we just discussed, I try to prepare something like that as we can use. On the right, I try to hold the mouse button right under the boss, while on the left we can see how I literally play like a drawing chameleon, just to have a sort of understanding of how different the damage can be. Of course, there are a lot of variables in the fight which are not considered, but I try to hold the same modifier for the map and the same boss, and you can see how the difference actually is there. So I believe like having this overlap mechanic and making it work literally enhance the damage itself. Also, as you can note in this very short clip, the radius of the curse applied by the cursed ground is slightly larger than it appears to be, which can be useful when we try to understand how to efficiently overlap cursed ground areas. Just to give you an idea of how area of effect of curse is, right now, just for explanation purpose, we are gonna remove the jewel connected to area of effect of curses to let you understand what's going on. As you can see here, if area of effect of curses is not high enough, the two spell cascade are not going to overlap between each other for the what I think it should be the triple amount of damage of Doedre's undoing. So this to give you an idea of how important area of effect of curse and spell cascade is to the load damage for this particular build setup. Okay. So that was everything about Despair. Then elemental weakness. Most of you probably already know this elemental weakness is absolutely useless in this build since we load just chaos damage. You are right, it is. Indeed, you can socket here whatever kind of curse you like, but the purpose of this is just to socket somewhere the Cane X, so we get we load our enemies chaos damage over time equal to 100% of our intelligence, and chaotic freeze, so do chaos damage with a load with different skill, our Despair basically, can contribute to freeze build up, linked to cast speed with just to make the elemental weakness be cast fast. Instead of elemental weakness, you can use whatever kind of other curse you like. Also, it's important to specify that this does not like interfere with our other curses, because elemental weakness will, if we load it on an enemy, will trigger the Cane X and chaotic freeze and will hold that effect, but in the moment we start casting Despair plus the cursor on our Blasphemy setup, it will be instantly cancelled, so it won't have a downside from that point of view. Withering Presence, basics auras to lower chaos resistance of enemy. Ghost Dance, this is very important from our defensive point of view, because we recover energy shield equal to 7% of evasion each time we get hit if we have a Ghost Shroud, and since we rely a lot on evasion, you will see better later when we discuss about items. We sit around 40k evasion rating. This is very important. Compressed duration, so we recover the energy shield in a faster way. Overwhelming Presence, remember to get this skill to a lower level, because we don't want to satisfy a too high amount of strength requirement. I think 13 is a good level for this gem. And its purpose is just to lower elemental ailment threshold of enemies, so we can easily inflict shock and freeze build-up. Also, thanks to the quality effect of its gem, you can also get 15 increased aura magnitudes. I think this 15 increased aura magnitudes should count for all of our aura. I don't know. Maybe not, maybe just an enhance for Overwhelming Presence itself, but it's not specified here, so honestly I don't know, but still a good addition to the build. And that was everything regarding the gem. Now we can quickly discuss about items. Let's start with the wand. As we already said, Splellslinger is absolutely not necessary as a base, so we just don't care about that. We just want to scale spell damage, chaos damage. Cast speed, intelligence is mandatory on every single piece of items we get, because we want to scale the Doedre's undoing damage as high as possible, and the only way to scale it is thanks to intelligence, spell damage, chaos damage, that kind of thing. The level of all spell skill is actually not necessary to have here, because our Doedre's undoing, where are you? Yeah, is a support gem, and for that fact it cannot be scaled by gem level. So even if it's good to have level of all spell skill because of Temporal Chains Enfeeble, Despair, you know, you get the point, it's absolutely not necessary, and I recommend to look for other stats before level of spell skill. Our helmet, we want an energy shield based helmet. You will see later why, but basically a point in our passive tree will get benefit from the energy shield from our helmet, so the highest amount of energy shield possible on the helmet. Life, intelligence, general resistances. The scepter, we want to get at least, if I get it right, 170 spirit in order to make the entire setup work. 170 spirit, it's absolutely fine, and if possible our skill have increased magnitude, I think, and intelligence of course. I think also mana regeneration would be useful, but this is the very base stats we want to get from the scepter. The amulet, mana regeneration not necessary, you just want to get, if possible, spell damage, maximum energy shield, and on the amulet, since it's one of the very few items we can get in percentage increase of intelligence, we want to get intelligence as high as possible and percentage of increase in intelligence. We allocate Subterfuge Mask on the amulet, plus 2 evasion per item energy shield on equipped helmet. So now you instantly get the point of have a high amount of energy shield on the helmet. Body armor, we want as much evasion rating as possible on the body armor, And life, gain reflection rate, resistances of course. Now, gain reflection rating equal to percentage of our evasion rate, deflection, sorry, percent of evasion rating need to be socketed somewhere between, get somewhere as suffix on the body armor or the gloves. I think these are the easiest sources of the deflection we can get. I was lucky, I managed to get it on the body armor. For the rings, we want chaos damage if possible, life, intelligence, general resistances. And again, chaos damage, life, intelligence, and general resistances. Remember to enhance attribute modifier with the catalyst to get the highest amount of attributes possible. The gloves, we want to socket intelligence as rune where it's possible. If you need to cap resistances, it's not a big deal to lose 10 intelligence somewhere. For the gloves, life, intelligence, as you already said, resistances. Probably you will need just one source of dexterity because we need to satisfy the dex requirement of body armor. So think of that when you start building, if you decide to do it. For the belt, which is the pieces I start to get as first when you want to construct the build. And because of the fact that the belt, the only useful affixes are life and general resistances. So since we don't have to look for two important things, just put on the PoE trade life and try to get the highest amount of resistances possible. And finally, the boots. Movement speed, energy shield, life, intelligence, general resistances. Very base items. Nothing to be worried about the flask, general ones, the charm, immunity to stun, freeze, and bleeding. Nothing more easy. On second set, we just want to get a staff with Sigil of Power and probably, but that's not mandatory actually, Spirit. Now, the reason why we want to get Spirit in our secondary set is that a lot of bug I encountered during setting up Skeletal Reaver, because they want to stay up even if we change weapon set. This is not necessary, and since they are very cheap, I recommend you to just get a staff with Sigil of Power, and if you manage to make it work the right way, it's better for you to don't get a stuff with Spirit. And that was enough for the items. Now we can move on the passive tree. So we ascend as a Lich. I know you already can see here this is actually an Abyssal Lich, but it's just an aesthetic because we don't actually use points related to Abyssal Lich Ascendancy. We just use base Lich nodes. So the nodes for the enhanced jewel here. Curse enemy killed by us, 30% chance to explode. Very good for clearing. Curse you inflict have infinite duration. It's absolutely not necessary, but it comes with, we can apply an additional curse, and for setup of the 3 curses at the same time is very cool and mandatory to have incessant kind of. And then we have Soulless Form, because it's the easiest way to get the highest amount and the minimum amount of mana regeneration to keep the loading our spell during maps. Now, from the passive tree, we just want to get Energy Shield, Intelligence from any sources possible, Curse Magnitude, and Whisper of Doom, so we can apply the additional curse. Okay, we can start discussing important points now. Now, since we have that highest, this very high amount of intelligence, a good way to play the build is get advantage of that intelligence. One way is the Heroic Tragedy, which allow us to allocate nightly tenants, and basically we get simply 1% increase evasion per 2 intelligence, which is a very easy and source of evasion for our build. Here I was lucky, the number of soul sacrifices here allow me to take also 15 intelligence here, not necessary, but if you are lucky you can take advantage of that point. Mana regeneration, curse magnitude. Okay, we can talk about the pair allocated here. A good way, I think, to enhance increased intelligence percentage is against the time lost diamond, and this got in pair with the from nothing diamond, which allow us to allocate the passive inside the radius of current isolation without connection to the tree, 1, 2 and 3 point. So thanks to that jewel here, we can get from every single one of that 3% more increased intelligence. The best pair you can get with increased intelligence, I think, well, maybe it's not the best, but it's the cheapest one, the 2% increase dexterity, because even if we don't scale directly dexterity, it's good to have a source of way to scale the dexterity from our gloves or body armor or boots whenever we get that dexterity, because we can use the other point inside our tree as intelligence sources. So if basically we scale dexterity, we somehow are getting sources to scale intelligence. So this should be the best one, I think. Then we have Megalomaniac, so we can allocate Polymath without connection to the tree, which is here for the 7% attributes, very good for strength, dexterity and intelligence. The best thing you can look for on this Megalomaniac, if you manage to get it, is this one, Polymath, or Subterfuge Mask, which is the other point we allocate here thanks to the amulet. So basically the way we make this work is, if we manage to get one with that point, we allocate, we anoint Polymath on the amulet, or otherwise, like I did, we put that on the amulet and get Polymath from the jewel. We just want to scale intelligence, our effect, evasion, oh right, the jewels. On the jewels, the rare base jewel, we just want to get as many of them with increased intelligence. Area of effect of courses, we already discussed why that's so important. Spell damage, chaos damage if possible, cast speed, and recover maximum mana on kill can also be useful if you're struggling to sustain the mana regeneration. I think that was enough for the passive 3-2, and now I guess we can see some more endgame content just to get an idea of how the build can work. Maybe this one can, yeah, it should be fine as showcase. Also, there's a previous video where I just posted a raw gameplay of I think almost this exactly setup, so you can get an idea. Also, if you for some reason want to scale for content you think are very tough, chaos freeze build up for normal bob, also you can just press elemental weakness or the course you select on the ground, so we can also freeze enemy. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope the showcase of the build guide help you somehow or give you some insight for your game experience too. If you have any kind of question, please ask in comments, or if you have some suggestion for the build which I think is not, it didn't reach its higher level yet because of just of the single target damage, which I think can be enhanced a little bit, let me know your suggestion too if you experiment something similar. Wish you a great day, and remember to like, subscribe if you enjoy the content, or if you just want to support the channel. Wish you a great day, and I'll see you in next one.